Hello and welcome. I'm Randy Bueller. I'm here with Steven Menendian. We are ready for Vintage Super League. How you doing, Steve?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I'm about half packed for Eternal Weekend. Got clothes all over the bed, but the Magic cards are ready. That's the important part.
Exactly. If you lose your clothes, that's replaceable. The Magic card, the Magic packing for Eternal Weekend is probably the most difficult thing to pack for because you literally have every card in Magic you could play. And for old school, it's even more so because you've got, my old school collection has just ballooned over the last couple of years. So It's all, I was calling Kevin the other day. I was like, Kevin, I'm having a crisis. What should I bring? He's like, well, I'm driving, so I don't have that problem. I have to fly from California. So, I have to I'm TSA pre-check, but that's not going to, prevent me from, it's not going to help when I have like suitcases of Magic cards.
Oh yeah. No, you get the scan and the guy, what is it? Anyway, you fly out tomorrow?
Yes, tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I do the same thing. So for you guys, I think most people probably know what we're talking about, but this weekend in Pittsburgh is the big event, certainly in the States and arguably worldwide for the Eternal community. The Vintage Championship starts on Friday. The Legacy Championship starts on Saturday. Both top eights are on Sunday. And oh, by the way, what's been going on for the last, I guess this is the fourth one. This is the year. There's an old school event on the Thursday, sort of the day before Vintage starts. So personally, I'll be playing in the old school, and then I'll be doing commentary for the whole weekend for Legacy and Vintage. And then you're playing all of them, I presume?
Oh, yeah. Randy, I have to say, I'm looking forward to our rematch in old school.
I played that tournament twice. I've played you both times.
It's been pretty decisive both times.
Fair. Yeah, no, did we play twice the first year? I know we played in the semifinals.
Yeah, we just played. I was undefeated in the Swiss, and
right, gone through me to get there.
Yes, yeah, and then I was undefeated. Yeah, you won the tournament, but we both had the same records at the end of the day because I. And then last year we played in, what was it, round 2?
Yeah, pretty early.
And then I ended
decided. Get this, guys. The way the old school works, if you get to the end of time, there's no extra turns and there's no draws. Instead, there's sudden death Chaos Orb flips.
So my Chaos Orb flipping skills are slightly better than yours, Randy. I think we both missed at least one flip.
Yeah, and this is the point where I hang my head in shame.
Well, you have.
It's legitimately a weakness in my old school game. I need to get better. I need to get better at flipping Chaos Orbs.
What do you think your percentage is?
I spent some time over the weekend practicing. I think I put like 10% on my hit percentage on Sunday by play. I was actually at a local tournament and they had a match decided on sudden death Chaos Orb flips. I'm like, man, I gotta work on that. So I just spent like 10 minutes waiting for the next round. I'm flipping Chaos Orb.
A couple of years ago when we made videos, I showed you my technique, and then right after that, you immediately used it against me. So everyone has their own, little, there's the tilt and drop, there's the tap and, flip. There's all different kinds of techniques for Chaos Orb. But just to follow up, I ended up getting second place last year, and then you got, as I recall, was it 9th? 12th. So you were just outside looking in the top 8. So
yeah, I wish they did a top 8. I'm going to be honest. I liked it better when it was Swiss cut to a top 8. But at the same time, I do know that one that I won, it was 11 o'clock, maybe midnight by the time we were done. So I understand why they're doing Swiss +1. It functionally turns it into single elimination for the purposes of winning.
Right. I think, well, the difference was that there was no time rounds that year. And so
right.
Yeah.
With time rounds, we could have a top 8, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think the Swiss
you have polls. Don't you have poll at Eternal Central?
Yeah. I mean, Swiss +1 is actually an old school tournament format. I mean, I don't know if you played. I'm sure you played back in like 94, 95. I would go to those.
Yeah, we played single elim back in the day too. That doesn't mean I like it.
Well, fair enough. I think Swiss +1 can work pretty well, but not when you've got the setup as it is, because it with draws it gets wonky, or the sudden death it gets wonky. It just feels more complete and modern to have the top 8.
Good. Yeah, let's work on Jaco when we get there this weekend. We'll both work on it. Maybe next year we get to cut the top 8 back.
have over 100
What's
players at
that?
this school event. We have over 100 players at this old school event. So
that numbers are going to be crazy. But first, we got a Vintage Super League show to play. So you're up. You haven't played. This is the last show of the second trimester. So it's week 6. The way our season is divided, it kind of splits into these 3-week periods where everybody submits a new deck list. So after tonight, all 12 of us are going to submit new deck lists. Yeah, look at him with the fingers in the steeple. He's been teasing me about his deck list for this set. I definitely want to see what he's up to. But everybody submits new deck lists, and then we will have a show 2 days after Eternal Weekend. So a week from tonight, maybe Crazy Tech breaks out this weekend and somebody decides to run it. We'll see what happens. Just one housekeeping note, though. We will not have a show on Halloween. So we're back next week just like normal, but 2 weeks from tonight is both Halloween and also there's a Pro Tour that weekend. So we usually take an off week the week of a Pro Tour. We're doing that, so there's no show 2 weeks from tonight, no show on October 31st. But we'll have new decks next week, which, I don't know, I've been playing. You're probably still worried about this week. So tell me, I know you've been teasing me. You've been giving me little hints about your deck choice for tonight, which includes, by the way, a match against your podcast partner, Kevin Cron. I want to hear about the deck choice, and I want to hear if there's been any sort of behind-the-scenes trash talk with you.
Well, I did, try and instigate some stuff with Kevin, but he wasn't taking the bait. He refused to engage. I guarantee.
Do you guys know what each other are playing?
No. Number one, I'm playing cards that have never seen play in the VSL before.
What?
Yes. So. Number
That's
two,
a bold statement.
It is. And I also think we should have the vote at the end. One of the things I've said about this, the vote at the end, which actually is the biggest brew of the trimester, right? One of the things I've said to people is you really need to wait to the end of the season to see how the Brewers Challenge worked, because you need those trimesters to kind of X out, what you're allowed to play with to actually be forced into some really cool brews. Number two, I wanted to play something that would be very entertaining. So, I think people will find it very entertaining. And number three, I wanted a project. I wanted something, you roll up your sleeves, you actually have to work on. You have to figure some things out. You have to figure out how pieces fit together. So I think you'll find that I've done that. I don't want to spoil too much, but that's what I'll, yeah.
All right. Well, it'll be Williams that gets the first crack at you. That's the second match. And then right after that, Stephen Menendian versus Kevin Cron. That'll be fun. First match, though, it'll be Reed Duke and Kevin Cron. They're getting set up right now. We should have that first match ready for you guys momentarily. All right. So if you 3-0 tonight, does that mean you run the deck at Eternal Weekend?
Well, I'll tell you a couple things. Number one, I ended up going 5-0 the Saturday before we had to submit the decks with this deck.
Nice.
And my very last opponent in the vintage league, and my very last opponent, I told him before, he was Italian. I said, "Do not concede, because I do not want this deck reported." And he was kind enough to acquiesce.
Nice.
So,
he did the 4-0 drop, basically. Played the match, but conceded it.
Yes.
Funny.
Yeah, And I ran into Brian Kelly a number of times, and I think I won almost all the times I played him. So wow. Brian, if you're in the chat, don't say anything. But he was making comments about how, well, he was making some pretty funny comments in our matches about how, anyway, I don't want to give anything away, but I'll tell you later on some of the funny barbs he was throwing.
That's awesome. So are you locked and loaded for this weekend at Eternal Weekend? You've got everything figured out?
One of the things that's so agonizing about Eternal Weekend is every single card, like there's the 74th and 75th card in your list that you just agonize over, depending on how you project the metagame. I think I don't know what your opinion is, Randy, but I think Dredge is the big boogeyman coming into this event.
I saw that you had called Dredge the deck to beat, and I mean, it's very good. I don't know that it's the deck to beat, but go ahead.
Well, I think Workshops is going to be the most popular and probably one of the best performing decks. Okay, but I think I mean, we both, Kevin and I both predict that Workshops are going to be the largest percentage of the field, but I think Dredge is kind of the hype train behind it, with Aaron's performance last week and winning the Vintage Challenge, and just what it can do is so disturbing on some levels.
Yeah.
You just they can just dump out 2 hollow ones on turn 1, post board, and it's 8.
So I played a league yesterday, and my opening hand has like a Wasteland, a Strip Mine, a Grafdigger's Cage, and random reasonable cards. I'm playing. This is after sideboarding against Dredge. I have to keep that hand, right?
I think it depends. I think it depends, actually. Do you have a force of will or a misstep? If you have a force, then I would definitely keep it. If you have a misstep, I'd probably keep it. It just depends on what's around it. I know if you're saying Wasteland and Cage, you might be playing land still, but
I did not have a force of will. I could not deal with a hollow one. But I'm like, am I really going to mulligan? This is just great, typically. And the Dredge player just goes bizarre, activate it, 2 hollowed ones.
Yeah.
I guess I'm looking at my Grafdigger's Cage. I'm like, I can waste the bizarre, but we're done here.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah. No, I think that deck. Maybe you're right. Maybe that is the deck. It's not the deck to beat, but it might be one of the real contenders to win the thing.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I think Shops is the favorite. I think that's pretty clear. Like Shops is like the biggest percentage of the field. It's the menace, but Dredge is the boogeyman.
It might be the Predator. All right. Sounds like our players are ready. Let's go watch some Vintage.